Good evening. Here we are on a Wednesday, ready to finish off talking about the final Week 2 games and an impressive Raiders win over the Saints. But first, I'd like to say rest in peace to a legend, a Hall of Famer, the running back for the Chicago Bears for quite some time, for 7 seasons, Gale Sayers, who had an impressive career. And in 7 seasons to be a Hall of Famer is kind of incredible. So rest in peace to that guy, as he was instrumental in being one of the top running backs and paving the way for running backs in the league. So, are you ready to get your fix? Well, let's start with the Denver Broncos taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, from the start, I think you could really tell that the Steelers are glad to have Big Ben back at quarterback, as they look more organized, and the wide receivers, they look more patient, knowing that they will get the ball. Knowing that they're going to get the ball makes them so much more relaxed, makes them run those routes crisper, so they don't have to keep trying to find a way to get open and get angry because they don't get the ball. But another thing to note would be the Steelers got the run game going this week, which is something that was really non-existent in Week 1, with James Conner actually rushing for 106 yards on only 16 carries. That's pretty good. For the Steelers, the ball was really distributed nicely, which kept the Broncos defense on their toes at all times, because you never really knew where the ball was going to end up. The first half was all the Steelers with their defense making a presence right away. This Steelers defense is insane. I mean, they're number 2 in the league, I believe, right now. So now the Broncos, they did lose Drew Lock to an injury, which is unfortunate. But I thought for the most part that the backup quarterback, Jeff Driscoll, stepped up and played the best ball he possibly could for Denver. He ended up with having 256 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. So not a bad day by any means. Melvin Gordon, he had an amazing diving touchdown grab in that fourth quarter that put him within one possession. The Steelers defense, though, they hung out, okay, and they played tough to grab that 26-21 win. So my top 3 performers for the Broncos are Jeff Driscoll, Melvin Gordon, and Justin Simmons. So for the Steelers, I got Big Ben, James Conner, and Chase Claypool. So moving over to the Carolina Panthers, taking on that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Tampa Bay looked real good in this game, especially Leonard Fournette, who had 103 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, which is something I really didn't see happening this early in the season, being that Ronald Jones is that main guy in that backfield. Like I said earlier in the year, I said wait till about Week 4 where we really start seeing Leonard Fournette in that backfield. But hey, it's Week 2. He's there already. So another thing to note is that Mike Evans is still a top receiver in the league, as he had a rough first week, okay, but ended up having 107 receiving yards with a touchdown. Tom Brady also had an all-right day passing, but he did throw an interception, which is something we need to see less of. But then again, you might take a look at what Jameis Winston did last season with the 30 interceptions and wonder if it's just the plays that Bruce Arians runs where it's just too chaotic. But however, though, you can't just put all the blame on the play calling, as Tom, he needs to be better. He knows that. So expect him to clean up that game a little bit in the upcoming weeks. Carolina, they're not looking that good right now, as they seem a little slow out of the gates. Christian McCaffrey, I don't think is being utilized like he should. But, you know, that could be due to the fact that the defense is actually aware of McCaffrey now, and they have a spy on him at all times, someone constantly watching where he's going. He's probably manned up all the time, so he's unable to do what he's actually capable of. But we can also see him persevere that through the next couple weeks. So I do think Carolina is going to get better as the season goes, but their division is stacked, so it's going to be a tough going, okay? So my top 3 performers for the Panthers are Teddy Bridgewater, Christian McCaffrey, and DJ Moore. And for the Buccaneers, I got Leonard Fournette, Mike Evans, and Tom Brady. So switching over to the Washington football team, taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Washington, they can be good, okay? And they showed signs of being good. However, though, that Arizona defense was on another level in Week 2. Terry McLaurin, he did a great job for Washington, as earlier in the year I noted he would be that number 1 receiver for Washington, which he is, and probably have 1,000+ receiving yards this season, which he probably is on pace for at this moment. So it was nice to see Terry go out and ball out and have 125 receiving yards with a touchdown. On the other hand, Arizona is looking really, really good, okay? And I think the main reason for that is the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, who's a phenomenal wide receiver. Kyler Murray now actually has a really good wide receiver to throw to. So don't get me wrong, Larry Fitzgerald's pretty good, so is Christian Kirk, but Now you got DeAndre in the mix. It's going to make things a lot better. But I think he understands that he doesn't actually have to do all the work, okay? And he can relax and just play his game and with no worries. Kyler was able to scramble a lot last week. So Kyler, he's also a beast. Like I said, scrambling. He's a beast at running the ball, and his acceleration is just next level. There was a play where he was running full speed, and all of a sudden he did like these little high, slow steps, and then all of a sudden, bam, he sped up, got to the end zone, scored a touchdown. He's looking like Lamar Jackson. Not 100% like Lamar Jackson, but he's looking kind of like him. As Murray, he had 67 rushing yards to add to his 286-yard passing day and a touchdown. So, I mean, this Cardinals team, it's a team to take seriously. Even though they did play the Washington, they have a really tough defense with an explosive offense that can be somewhat compared to the Green Bay Packers at this point. They don't put up as many points, however, but they're moving that ball. They're getting things done. They're showing teams that they can take that next step and make that playoff. So my top 3 performers for the Washington football team are Dwayne Haskins, Terry McLaurin, and Landon Collins. And for the Cardinals, I got Kyler Murray, Kenyon Drake, and DeAndre Hopkins. So next, let's get to the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Houston Texans. Now, the Ravens are just like the Chiefs, just plain and simple hard to beat. Just hard to beat. Their defense may be stronger than they were last year with less holes in that defense. Another thing to note is the Ravens' running game, which I had no doubt would be next level once again with a combined 230 rushing yards by 4 different rushers, which was more than Lamar threw for, by the way. I think he threw for 208 yards passing that game. So I think the Texans, since losing Hopkins, are having a tough time passing the ball. Deshaun Watson, again, is that main focal point in that Texans offense. And I think he's going to have an all right year, but I feel he's going to be way too pressured at points, and he's going to get sloppy. He will have those sloppy kind of games. He'll have a 2-interception game coming up. I know he will. It's bound to happen when you have to make all the plays yourself. He's still going to have all those yards, a good amount of touchdowns, but those picks might be more up there being that he doesn't have a Hopkins at this point. So this game was just a dominant one for the Ravens, as we're going to see who's the better team in Week 3, either the Ravens or the Chiefs, because they play against each other. So it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm probably more than likely definitely going to be watching that game because who knows who the best is. We're going to find out. But my top 3 performers for the Ravens are Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, and Marcus Peters. And for the Texans, I got Deshaun Watson, Brandon Cooks, and Zach Cunningham. So finally, let's get to the New Orleans Saints taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, with the Saints being as good as they are, they let the Raiders walk all over them. All over them. This was a disappointment for the Saints, I think. With the first quarter being the only quarter, they really showed up. They went up 10-0. Okay, Derek Carr looked really good in Week 2 compared to Week 1 performance. And I think he outperformed Drew Brees as he looked more comfortable in the pocket. I think without Michael Thomas at that wide receiver spot, it's a tough thing for Drew Brees. He had more passes to his running back, Alvin Kamara, than he did his regular wide receivers. So, like I said, Derek Carr is more comfortable in the pocket that game. The Saints' offense really was non-existent in that second half of the game as the Raiders' defense showed up and played some really, really nice football. However, though, Alvin Kamara, he's showing why he deserved to sign an extension, getting 2 rushing touchdowns. For the Raiders, Darren Waller is really a top 3 to 5 tight end in the NFL and has continued to put up on a show as he did last year. The Raiders now, they would go on to be 2-0, beating the Saints that 34-24, so a 10-point game. So watch out for the Raiders this season as they could shock some people. So my top 3 performers for the Saints are Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, and Traquan Smith. For the Raiders, I got Derek Carr, Darren Waller, and Josh Jacobs. So that's going to end our discussion today. And now we wait for Week 3 of games to take place with the Miami Dolphins taking on that Jacksonville Jaguars team, which is going to be dominant. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a tough-fought one. And we'll see how Week 3 plays out. Ravens, Chiefs are also playing. So anyways, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you Friday. And you just got your fix with the Wicks.